Hello, my name is Chelsea. We are Bug Hero 6, and today we are going to talk about apiculture pest management. So, this is our table of contents. We're talking about what is apiculture. We're going to be introducing integrated pest management, which is also known as IPM, bees' ecological role, taxonomy of major pests, IPM pyramid in depth. We'll go over all the levels, costs and risks of certain management tactics, and then we will conclude the presentation. So, apiculture or beekeeping is the method of maintaining bee colonies for various reasons, including harvesting honey and royal jelly, and also the pollination of our crops. Unfortunately, there are several common pests of bees, such as Varroa mites and small hive beetles. Due to these pests and other factors, the bee population has been declining rapidly in the United States. Thankfully, there are many ways to ensure the health of a bee colony, which includes management tactics such as the integrated pest management, which is also known as IPM, as I said before. So, the integrated pest management is a science-based approach for controlling pests that uses multiple tactics to reduce pest population, minimize risks to people and the environment, and maintain economic efficiency. The whole point of IPM is to reduce dependency on pesticide use. So, the base of the pyramid emphasizes prevention, while the tactics near the top emphasizes intervention. So, over here, identification and understanding the pest helps to prevent them from ever disrupting the bee colonies. Chemical warfare may be needed, but it is the last thing we would want to do. The pyramid will be talked about in depth later. So, bees play a very important ecological role as bees are the world's most important pollinator species in natural systems. Bees' food supplies consist of nectar and their pollen from blooming plants, and they bring this food back to their colonies. IPM strategies take this into account by timing pesticide applications in agricultural areas to avoid peak foraging periods, minimizing bee exposure to harmful chemicals. Bee activities such as brood rearing and overwintering are influenced by environmental factors such as temperature and daylight. Brood rearing is the process of caring for and raising young in a colony of social insects. Bees are, in fact, social insects, which means that they live together and they cooperate in a large family organized group. Overwintering is the process in which bees prepare for winter. They do this by kicking out the male bees or drone bees, storing honey, and reducing their egg pop production. IPM leverages this knowledge to apply treatment against pests like varroa mites during periods when the colonies are less vulnerable, such as after honey harvest or during brood breaks. Now let's further dive into some pests of these bee colonies and their life cycles.
Hello, I am Jeffrey, and today I will be talking about the taxonomy of major pests in apiculture, the Varroa destructor. It is a parasitic mite that has become the most significant pest affecting honeybees. Varroa destructor got this reddish-brown color with a flattened oval body shape approximately 1.1 milliliter long and 1.5 milliliter wide, as shown above in this picture. Its flattened body shape allows it to maneuver between the abdominal segments of the, making it difficult to detect and remove. There are two life stages in its life cycle: the phoretic phase, where it feeds on adult bee, and the reproductive phase, where it enters the brooding cell and reproduces on the larva. The impact on apiculture is severe. It is the vector of deformed wing virus that causes inability in flying. Also, recent studies show that long-existing idea that Varroa destructor feed primarily on hemolymph is wrong. The primary food source in phoretic phase is actually the fatty bodies. These indicate that Varroa destructor will cause bees immunosuppression and thus causing colonies collapsing. Researchers has identified several genetic traits in honeybees that confer resistance to Varroa destructor, such as Varroa-sensitive hygiene behavior, the grooming behavior, and the suppression of mite reproduction behavior. These behavior are seen in bee species that coexisted for a very long time. Further researches on the genetic modification of bees could be made to increase the resistance and lower the effect it has on apiculture.
Hi, my name is Xander, and today I'll be talking about bee management tactics and the IPM pyramid. So, there are a couple different ways we do bee management. The first thing that probably comes to mind is domestic bees and beehives and beekeepers, which with modern technology we can do a really good job of keeping track of the health of a hive. The first thing you see listed here is weight monitoring, because this is actually a really important part of monitoring the health of a hive. Different weights can mean different things. If a hive is suddenly gaining a lot of weight, there's a good chance that their honey production is ramping up. Of course, rapidly declining weight can be a bad thing. That means bees are either dying or unhealthy. So that's really important. And that kind of rolls into monitoring technology. There's a lot we can do with scales, temperature sensors, if even cameras to track the bees' movements. The technology we have that can help monitor them in a stationary position is really incredible. And then we also have methods for monitoring wild bees, which is primarily called sampling. This is where scientists or other interested individuals will go into the wild and temporarily trap or surveil bees. And there are several different methods for this, but generally speaking, they involve a physical trap, at which point they can be tagged or studied and tracked. And this kind of helps us keep a pulse to the health of a general bee population over time. Now, earlier we talked a little bit about the IPM pyramid. The big thing to know about the IPM pyramid is that it very much values non-chemical methods when dealing with pests. The whole idea is that we save a lot of time, money, and even potentially bees by using more organic methods or even just non-chemical methods. So while this is not exactly the same as organic pest management, they do carry a lot of similar aspects, and a lot of the techniques of organic pest management can be carried over to this style of pest management. As you can kind of see on our pyramid here, starting at the bottom, we are trying to understand the pest, then we're trying to control and sanitize our area. If that doesn't work, we move up to physical and mechanical defenses, then biological, then as a last resort, chemical. I put this quote here: an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, because I think that really sums up the main idea of this style of pest management. Ideally, if we can analyze the pest and say, okay, this is the things that we can use to deter it. We'll keep it out of the hive. We'll keep our area clean. If that's not working, we can put traps in place, different wire meshes, different nets protecting the hives. Those kinds of things will save our bees way more in the long run. And then biological, this can be several different things. One thing I found particularly interesting was purposeful choosing of bees that are genetically resistant to pests, although as we talked about earlier, the varroa mites are still considered pests. We've not found a biological way to deal with them yet, unfortunately. And then of course the last resort is chemical, which can be pesticides. And even at this point, we're trying to prioritize things that will effectively deal with mites and other pests while not hurting the bees as much as possible.
Hi, I'm Ethan. I'm going to be introducing the costs and risks of different pest management techniques. So when it comes to choosing a pest management technique, you must weigh the costs and risks of each before making a decision. So cultural management practices, for example, come at little to no upfront monetary cost, but often come at a labor cost. As you can see on the right, there are many options, but many can only be used in certain times of the year, and the all year round method reduces honey production. So relying on cultural methods can risk leaving you without any options for some months. Also, the efficacy of some methods is debatable, but they do not harm the bees, so trying them out isn't super harmful. Next are physical and mechanical methods. These are very cheap and are very effective at preventing pest infestations, especially when using multiple at the same time. For example, using a screened bottom board is only a one-time purchase and is fairly effective, but adding powdered sugar as well can be used to increase the mite drop, as the sugar stimulates grooming behavior in the bees. These methods are also usually labor intensive, but using these methods plus cultural methods can save time and money in the long run by reducing the active solutions you need to implement. And finally, chemical approaches are the most effective at actively reducing the populations of pests in honeybee colonies. But they often come at high monetary costs and bee stress, as noted earlier. As you can see on the left, the cost per colony can range anywhere between 25 cents to up to $7.25, but most fall around $5 per colony. And generally speaking, soft chemicals provide less risk and should be considered first, as they are effective without leaving chemical residues in hives. Overall, when trying to actively remove pests, most beekeepers choose to use soft chemicals, as shown in this graph, the most popular being thymol and organic acid. But if you're trying to prevent pests, a combination of cultural and mechanical techniques is best. In conclusion, pests pose a significant problem to the health of a bee colony, but there are many ways to handle the problem. The integrated pest management provides multiple ways to approach the prevention and elimination of pests and shows which cause the bees distress and which are more labor intensive. Also, understanding the taxonomy of the pests is a key part to creating a targeted solution. And by considering the ecological balance of the hive, we can make sure that our actions support the overall health of the bees. Overall, it's best to minimize pesticide use, which can be achieved by focusing on the preventative measures at the bottom of the IPM pyramid. And through effective prevention and management of pests, beekeepers can promote healthier colonies, support sustainable honey production, and contribute to the overall well-being of bee populations. And these are our sources. Thank you for watching.